This is Rogers TV. The opinions expressed in the following program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect those of Rogers nor Rogers TV.
Hello everyone and welcome to Local Update. I'm Deborah Hutchison. 13-year-old Reese Chong of Whitby thought people weren't taking COVID-19 seriously, so he decided to do something about it. He's made an animated video that explains how the virus is spread, and it is gaining a lot of attention.
Stop the spread. This public service announcement is to help you understand how to stop the spread of COVID-19, aka coronavirus. Since many of us have not experienced anything like this before, it may be hard to imagine what coronavirus is or why it is so dangerous. So instead, let's imagine that coronavirus is actually a zombie virus. One way that zombie virus spreads is through surface contact. If you imagine that outside, anyone could be a potential zombie. When zombies touch an everyday object, they spread invisible zombie virus. When you touch those objects, it can transfer the virus to your hand. If you have it on your hands and you touch your face, then you risk getting infected by zombie virus. That's why one important way to stop the spread is to avoid touching your face. And another way to stop the spread is to always wash your hands with soap and water for at least 20 seconds, especially before eating. I would recommend washing your hands anytime you have touched surfaces that are outside of your home, because you don't know if a zombie has left zombie virus there. So please stay safe and stop the spread.
Reese Chong joins us now via video. Hey Reese, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Oh, we're doing well, my friend. Tell me about why you decided to make this video. You say people weren't taking the COVID-19 seriously enough. How so?
Well, I felt that people still weren't people weren't taking it seriously because they went out still. I've been seeing a lot more people going for walks than before, and maybe they don't understand what COVID-19 is or how it spreads. So I decided to make a video, an animated video, because I thought it's easier to understand.
And you use zombies. You relate the virus to zombies and call it a zombie video. Why did you do that? Why did you feel it was important to do that?
Well, I felt that zombies are more common. You can see them all over the internet. It's more understandable and comprehensible than, let's say, I don't know, coronavirus. So I felt it's easier for people my age and even people older than me to understand what and how coronavirus spreads.
So this is an amazing animated video. How long did it take you to put together?
It took me about 3 weeks to put together, including all of the time I spent in it and made it.
And the script as well. Did you put the script together all yourself? Did you have some help from anyone?
I wrote it, but I got my parents to look it over.
And of course, 2 thumbs up from them. The scientist, the voice of the scientist, a very familiar voice to you, correct?
Yeah.
Who's the scientist?
The scientist
Reese?
was voiced. Pardon?
Sorry, who's the scientist? Who's the voice of the scientist?
My dad voiced the scientist.
What kind of reaction are you getting from your friends, Reese? What are they saying to you?
I got a pretty positive reaction. Even my school, they posted it on their Instagram.
Oh, that is awesome. And you go to Robert Munch in Whitby, correct?
Yeah.
So you you've posted it on YouTube, and it's getting an awful lot of views. What are you up to now in as far as the numbers?
I'm up to like 1.7 thousand.
That is absolutely incredible. What's going through your head when you're looking at that number and thinking, I made an animated video that people love, that's doing great public service, and more than 1,000 people have seen this video?
Yeah, it's hard to believe because a month ago I was just working on it and it felt like just me was seeing it. But now like thousands of people are seeing it.
Now, you also made an additional video as well, right? You made one on social distancing to explain what social distancing is and how to do it right. Why did you make that one as well?
I was thinking of like maybe a series, so I made a second one.
Stop the spread. This public service announcement is to help you understand how to stop the spread of COVID-19, aka coronavirus. Many of us have not experienced anything like this before, so it may be hard to understand what exactly coronavirus is or why it is so dangerous. Today we're going to talk about social distancing. There are still a lot of people not doing social distancing, and this may be because people just don't know what social distancing is. So in this video we will explain what it is, how to do it, and most importantly, why to do it. So instead of doing social distancing, think about it like this. Imagine that everyone who is not in your household is a zombie. Zombies like to wander around. Now they won't chase you or try to harm you, but if you get too close to a zombie, you could catch zombie virus. So your job is to stay a safe distance from all possible zombies. So how far away should you stay from potential zombies? You should stay at least 6 feet or 2 meters away. How far is that? If you imagine holding a broom by the end of the handle, you should be at least that far away from other people. I mean zombies. If you can do that, then you will be practicing good social distancing. I hope this helps you understand social distancing. Please stay safe and stop the spread.
And can we expect a third one, Reese? Is this it for a while?
It might be it for a while. You might see a third one, but it takes a while.
Okay, well, we'd love to see a third one. So what are you thinking of in regards to a career, Reese? Would movie production be in your future?
Right now I'm just exploring. Animation is pretty cool. Next I'm looking at video game.
So obviously something in entertainment to do with video is in your future. What are your mom and dad saying to you about this project?
They're super happy that it took off.
And how did you find the time really to do it? Because you did this in April when distance learning, was just starting up. How did you manage the schoolwork and your video production?
Well, after the time I do school, I have to I finish my school work fast to make sure I have time for animation.
Because you just loved it, didn't you? Okay, Reese Chong, thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to a third in your series of zombie videos as well. Stay with us. More to come on Local Updates after the break.
you become a Rogers volunteer, it's always an opportunity for everybody to come together and try different things that they've never been able to do before. I encourage everybody to be a volunteer at Rogers TV because not only do you grow professionally, you grow personally as well. I would love to be in this field in the future, and Rogers TV is the perfect place to find your footing. My name is Tyler Hodgkinson, and I'm a Rogers TV volunteer.
In this challenging time of COVID-19, the Salvation Army Oshawa chapter is not only maintaining its services, it's expanding its services and finding new ways to help those in need. Joining me now is Major David McNeely and Lee Rowney from the Salvation Army Oshawa. Gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
I read an incredible statistic that the demand for your services is on the rise. So much so, they say you've seen 131% increase in that demand. That's incredible.
Well, certainly in the early stages of the situation we're going through right now, we certainly saw a large increase in those first few weeks. As we've gone through in recent weeks, we've plateaued a little bit, but certainly in those first couple of weeks, we saw a very big increase in terms of people that were accessing food from our food bank. And so there's definitely a need for services at this time.
Yeah, you've also had to adapt and change the way you are providing these services. Let's talk about that food bank system. You're using your emergency response vehicle in a whole new way.
We are. In terms of our vehicle, we're actually utilizing that for our food bank. And so rather than people now accessing our building, we've got the vehicle parked outside. So we're able to take food down to the vehicle and then distribute it from there and hand people a bag of food or produce or whatever that might be so that they can then avoid coming into the building and contaminating that space as well. So we've been able to move the vehicle down there to our office outside and just distribute food in that way, which has been amazing for our staff. It's been really efficient for people actually coming to the food bank. We're not having lineups of people. We're able to get through people much faster, so it's been really good for us.
Now, you use volunteers on a regular basis, or did until this happened. How has this changed how you're using volunteers or how you're able to get, I guess, the job done? Are you just using staff now? How's it working?
Yeah, so predominantly it's just staff now. We do have some volunteers still that are helping with serving on a Tuesday night at Memorial Park. We're doing our street ministry where we're able to provide a hot meal for people once a week. But in terms of sorting and packing and bagging food, our thrift store, which has been closed for the last few weeks due to COVID-19, the staff have been redeployed rather than laying people off. We've been able to redeploy them to our community and family services. And we've been able to have them assist us with packing and bagging and all that sort of stuff as well. And so they've been a great help being able to help us to continue to operate in the way that we have been.
Major, I want to ask you about how you continue to connect with people. You know, churches and other organizations, they don't have the regular Sunday services that they've been able to have. And I guess in a time when we're being told to stay away from people, that desire to connect physically, emotionally is greater than ever.
Absolutely. I mean, the whole idea of isolation takes on a whole different perspective when people are feeling isolated and disconnected. And of course, all our usual ways of meeting together on a Sunday morning or during the week have changed. And but it's amazing actually how inventive or creative people have been. I mean, our youth pastor Shona, she's connected the youth of our congregation on Sunday nights. They get together, they talk about things, they encourage each other. But also during the week, they get together on Zoom, you know, for like painting activities and some of those things. So it's really fascinating to see how people have connected just to talk with each other, but also to better equip themselves to get through the challenges of some of these things as well, the emotional challenges sometimes.
How is she connecting then with the youth? Are you talking about virtual connections or, face to face, but maintaining distance?
Yeah, so the group activities have been through like Zoom, but there's also been the one-on-one connections that have happened between some of the leaders and the youth. I mean, there are always those that are going to be having challenges, even without COVID-19. Being a teenager in today's culture can be challenging, and especially during this time. So there's one-on-one meetings that happen with smaller groups that happen. And so there's a real great, actually one of the real bright spots too is with our ladies. I mean, some of these are older ladies, so technology can be a bit of a challenge, but they've found ways to get into chat groups using Facebook, some of the other ways that they've been able to keep up with each other and how they're doing with each other and offer support to each other. Encouragement. Sometimes there's Bible verses that go back and forth just by way of encouragement and bringing hope to people. So it's been really kind of neat to see how that's happened in the older, but also in the younger as well.
The partnership, you have also partnership with organizations that I guess those partnerships have been, I don't want to say tested, that's not the right word, but we're relying so much on our partnerships more than ever. For instance, Feed the Need in Durham is one of your partners that is helping you do what you do.
Correct. So Feed the Need, we've always had a very, very strong partnership with Feed the Need, and they've been phenomenal in this time. Ben and his team have been really great in helping and making sure that not only the Salvation Army, but all the agencies that are members of Feed the Need have been kept up to date. We've had Zoom meetings with them, and also been able to supply them with the food that we need. In terms of that we can distribute, whether that's canned products, whether it's produce and fresh items as milk and dairy, all that sort of stuff has been able to come in, and they've been a great support for us. We've also had some really good support from community members. We have a community member that is a baker, and she has been reaching out to her customers and asking them to donate canned products and those sort of things for our food bank and specific items. Some of the things we've been looking for are things like instant coffee. We don't get a lot of that stuff coming, so that's a big ask for people. And so we've been able to speak to her, and she's had her clients, or our customers rather, being able to bring some of that food to her home, drop it at the doorstep, and then she's been able to drop it to us so that we can then distribute that in a safe and effective manner. With,
I guess, so many shelters closed as well, how big an increase are you seeing in the homeless?
I think the homeless in Oshawa are always present, and certainly in the early days, because our emergency truck is predominantly used in regular times to feed many homeless people at Memorial Park. When we brought the truck down for food bank, people saw the truck and expected that there was going to be a hot meal there. And so that took some time, but we were still able to provide people with the food, whether that be a hot meal or even something, not necessarily that they can cook, but even things like granola bars and some fresh fruit and some drinks. Just that even though they're homeless, they can still eat and find ways to get some food in them. So we've been able to serve that population still, and there are other agencies that are also doing that alongside us. So we've been able to support them in the best way that we can. And obviously when we get people coming in and asking for stuff, we try to be as cooperative as possible and help them where we can.
You also have a food to hamper program that you've stepped up and increased as well. Let's talk about that. Normally the food hampers, people would receive a food hamper once every 2 months. Now it's once every month.
Correct. So we saw the increase in that. We saw the need for people that are still going to need to have access to food. And so we've been very fortunate in terms of the food supply that we've been able to get, both from Feed the Need and from other sources as well. And so we found that we were able to manage that effectively alongside the other food banks in the city to make sure that people can access the food that they need. And so we increased that to once a month just to make sure there's the quantity of food and the availability of that to people.
And you also accept donations of foodstuffs as well. You don't get all your food from Feed the Need, correct?
Correct. So like I mentioned before about the lady who asked her friends and her customers to provide food, they were able to donate that. We've had a number of our church family that have stepped up and asked if they can donate food as well as financially. And so people have been very, very supportive. We've been very fortunate in terms of what we've been able to receive. There's some funding coming in that we're able to access that will help us along the way as well. And so the support that we get from the community and from our own church congregation has just been phenomenal.
If people wanted to help, do you have a drop-off point, drop-off days for people to drop off foodstuffs?
So we're asking people to drop off during our food bank time. The food bank is currently on Albert Street, just outside of our building. We've had to move off of King Street due to some construction. But right now, if people can come and donate food, they can do that between 9:30 and 12, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And our food bank is open, and then we can direct people and bring staff down to help unload that from us in a safe and effective way.
Major, I want to ask you, everything that you do, it doesn't come cheap and it costs money. How do you make ends meet? How can people help you?
Well, I think an important element of what we do is we want to be able to provide support to people. But I think one of the other ways that we try to really help people is by equipping them. And so some of the services actually under the direction of Lee's department is really about equipping them as well, offering groups whereby they can exchange ideas and that, or counseling as well. But letting them also be able to use their skills in that, like through our trustee program. But I think that people can offer financial assistance. We have websites that we can that people can connect to with our Salvation Army websites, but also we have 1-800 numbers that can be provided. So salvationarmy.ca is a great website that people can connect with, or 1-800 Sal Army. But we also have direct links with Oshawa and Durham. One of the websites for the Salvation Army in Oshawa is oshawa-temple.org, which people can go to as well. But there's also a neat little feature that we have that we talk about in our online services, our church services that are happening online. We have a number that people can, text or send a message to, just if they want to connect, if they want a prayer, if they want somebody to reach out to them, and so we also have that available as well, which is 289-768-5959.
The two of you are there for people when they really need help, but how are both of you doing? How are you coping in these times?
Well, it's certainly been some long days and some challenging days. I have a young family at home, and so trying to manage that. Thankfully, my wife has done a fantastic job with that, being able to help with that. She's not working right now due to COVID-19. But certainly there's been some long days, but we've, tried to do what we can as a family, spend some quality time as a family, get out for some walks just to try and refresh. And so that's been really helpful for me particularly, just to have a break from the day-to-day office stuff. So I've got a great team around me at Family Services who have been very, very supportive, who have worked very, very hard during these times. And we've got people and staff in the office, but we've also got people who are not in the office right now, who are working from home. And like David mentioned, we've got our counseling program that is still going on, and we're able to do that via our Zoom link. So people can connect with their counselors and still have the access to those services. We also have some other group programs that we've been running through our court system. And so some of those services have been done online rather than coming into the office still.
Major,
We also,
sorry, Lee. I was going to say, Major, how are you doing?
I think it can be challenging for sure. There's a disconnect with, how to connect with people. I mean, you don't see them on Sunday morning. Sometimes they'll see you while you're doing your online church services. And so it's taken an effort to connect with people in that way. Actually, I'm part of our leadership team connects on Mondays, and we talk about how we can support each other. But also a key point of what we talk about is how we can stay connected to God. Because in the Gospel of John in the Bible, Jesus says, unless you stay connected to me, the things that you do won't have really eternal value, or you're not going to be able to do them as effectively. So for me, for us, we really try to make sure that we're connected to God through a prayer, through reading scripture, through listening to what God has to say to us, because he'll direct us, and he's like our captain, right? He mobilizes us according to his needs and what he sees as being the greatest opportunities. And even in this challenging time, there are opportunities to connect with people. Actually, let me just take a moment to tell you, we had somebody that connected with our service through that number that I put up there, the 28 number, or that I mentioned, and he'd been kind of feeling that he needed to deal with some things in his life, some destructive patterns. So he connected with us, and somebody from our congregation was actually able to have a phone conversation with him, to pray with him, and now he's on the path of being able to address some of these things, and is showing some real progress in his life in overcoming some things that really didn't belong in his life. And so that's been a really neat thing, that in this time of challenge, people are realizing that there's got to be something more, and our purposes are so much greater than just ourselves. They're outside of ourselves. They're in community. They're in God's purposes, and that's one of the key desires that we have, is to connect people to God. So we're trying to do that ourselves as well, being connected to God.
We've only got about 30 seconds left, so just a quick final word from both of you. Your main message to people out there who may be struggling with the stress and the uncertainty. Lee?
I think for us, it's a case of, don't be ashamed to come to a food bank. We've had a number of people that have said to us, I'm a single mother and I don't want to take my children to the grocery store because I feel like I'm being shamed at the store. But they've come to our food bank because they know that they can get food there. And so I want to say to people, don't feel ashamed about that. If you need food, we're here to help you. Major? Very quickly.
And I think we always need to be hopeful, not in our abilities, but in the fact that people care about us, and also that God really does love us and care for us and is wanting to support us.
Okay. I'm going to have to stop you both there. Thank you both for joining us, and thank you to our viewers. Until next time, I'm Deborah Hutchison.